This video is going to continue with the topic of percents. We are going to investigate finding the whole when we are given the part and a percent. Be sure the date and topic are at the top. Our essential question in this video is how can we use backtracking to calculate the whole when we know the part and the percent? And in my opinion, this is the hardest part of working with percents. In this situation, we want to be able to know what the whole is if we know the percent and we know the part the percent represents. For example, 20% of the people surveyed have a dog. 14 people have a dog. How many people were surveyed? In this case, we know the percent, right? We know that the percent is 20, and we know the part that have a dog. What we don't know is the whole, right? We don't know that part. To do this, you're going to see me using a bit of backtracking. Remember, backtracking was when we set up problems like this, right, to figure out a missing value. Right? We're going to use that to help us figure out the whole. I want to remind you, first of all, how we would normally work forwards, right? If we have 15% of 30, we've done this before, we've done it with tax and tip and some other examples, we would normally remember that of means multiply, and that we would turn our percent into a decimal. And essentially what we would do is take that 30 and multiply it by the decimal of 15%, and we would get the value. In this case, it would work out to be 4.5. Which means we have one box here that's representing our whole. We're multiplying it by our percent, and we're getting the part that is represented by that value. Now that's what we've been doing. But now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to backtrack. So here we are with my original example. 20% of the people surveyed had a dog. We know that 20% of the class is 14. What we don't know is what the whole number is. So I'm going to set this up with backtracking. Remember that the backtracking we had was the whole times the percent gave us the part. Right? Told us what the part was. Now in this case, we don't know what our whole is. So I'm going to leave that as a variable. I know that my whole would be multiplied by 20%. So I'm going to change that into a decimal as 20 hundredths or 2/10. And if we do that calculation, we find the part, and this time we know that the part is 14. Now this looks like backtracking, something we've done before. If I want to find my variable, my missing number, I have to go backwards. Right? I was multiplying, so now I'm going to divide. Which means to solve this problem, I have to do 14 divided by 2/10 or 20 hundredths. Right? So you'll have to set this up as a division problem. And of course, we've been working with decimals for a while. Right? So we know that to do this, we'd have to move our decimal once, twice. We'd have a decimal here that we would also move once, twice. We'd put in our 0 placeholders and go ahead and go through my long division. Go ahead and finish that off, right? And then we'll just check in and see if we all got the same answer. How'd you do? I found out here in my quotient that 70 people were surveyed. Right? Using backtracking, I was able to find out that 70 people were surveyed. Let's try another. Here we just have a calculation question. 5 is 20% of what number? So again, we know the part here is 5, the percent is 20. What we don't know is the whole. So I'm going to go ahead and get my boxes ready here. Think about what you're going to be putting in each of these spots to solve this. Right? Do we know the whole? No, that's what's missing, right? I'm going to use n for number. Do we know our percent? Sure, 20%. and that's the decimal. Again, we're using 20%, sorry about that. That is 20 hundredths, or 2/10. And this time we know that the part is 5. All right, so this was being multiplied to get 5. Go ahead and do your backtracking to solve this, and we'll see what number it is. What is our mystery number? Go ahead and pause the video, set up your division problem correctly, see what you get, and we'll check in and see how you did. How'd you do? I found out that mystery number, I used the variable n for that, I found out it was 25. So 5 is 20% of the number 25. Here's one more to try. 7 people went skiing last weekend from Miss White's classes. That is 5% of her students. How many students does Miss White have? I'm going to just make these boxes, and I'm going to ask you to go ahead and set this up as you see fit. I want you to solve this all the way through before unpausing the video to check your answer. How'd you do? I found out that there were 140, I should put my units here, students total. In this video, we used backtracking to help us find the whole, right, the total number of students or people surveyed, or whatever the number was, if we were given the percent and the part that percent represented. We'll have a chance to practice this more in class, but remember the key idea here is to use backtracking to work our way backwards to find the whole.